Hi, everybody. It's Mrs. Pablo from Centreville Baptist Church with story time. Okay, well, this is the first time we're going to do this, so I have a very special story for you today. But before we start, I wanted to explain a couple of things. Now, everybody kind of knows what these are. These are little sheep. And back in the days of Jesus, and before that too, they sacrificed sheep like this. And so when you went to market, kind of like when you're going grocery shopping, you would see sheep on the side, and then people would look to see if it's the right kind of sheep. Well, I will tell you that this one wouldn't work because he has got a little stain. It's called a blemish. So they said, nope, he wouldn't do. They would probably pick this one because this one's totally white. Okay, that's the first thing. So they would use sheep and different things like that for sacrifices. All right, second thing, we're going to mention in today's story about money changers. And money changers are people who change money. So this coin, and I'll put it up really close to the camera, this coin is from England. Now, if you went to England and you took this coin, you couldn't spend this coin in England because this coin is from Korea. And if you were in Korea and you took this coin, you couldn't spend it in Korea. So they had to change it. So if you were in England and you wanted to buy something, then you would take your coins from wherever country you're from, and then you would exchange it so that you could get the coin from the country that you wanted to spend the money in. So that's what was in the marketplace too, because lots of people came from all over the world to come and be in the Jerusalem marketplace because it was a fun place with all kinds of wonderful things to smell and to eat and to buy. Okay, so with that, I will start today's story, and it is called Ruthie Goes to Jerusalem, and it is written by Mrs. Pablo. So it's a very special story, and I love it. So I want to show you a picture. This is a picture of what it might have looked like for families that would travel from place to place, and they wanted to travel, so they would travel, and so they were kind of going to Jerusalem. So I'm going to start reading, okay? It was a fine day in Jerusalem. Ruthie was on her way to the temple with her family. Her big brother Asher kept yelling at her to watch where she was walking. You see, Ruthie had never been to the big temple in Jerusalem before. They were from the outskirts of a town called Hebron, but they were traveling to Jerusalem to offer sacrifices because Ruthie's dad wanted her to experience this. Ruthie's mom and dad were very busy trying to make sure they were headed in the right direction. With the animals they had brought for their sacrifice, keeping the whole group together was difficult. There were so many people in the streets. Ruthie couldn't believe it. All the inns and taverns were full of people, more people than Ruthie had ever seen in her life. She almost got stepped on by a couple of camels because she wasn't paying attention. Ruthie's eyes grew big when they finally got to the temple. There was so much to see. There were men in colorful robes walking to and fro, talking to groups of people. There were other rougher-looking men standing in front of sheep, like the one I showed you earlier. They were standing in front of sheep, lambs, or birds, selling them to those who didn't bring their own animals for sacrifice. There were tables set up with strange-looking people Ruthie's father called money changers. Since some people came from other countries, they couldn't buy anything using their money from their country, so the money changers would exchange their money for some they could use. Everyone was shouting and the animals were so noisy that Ruthie had a hard time hearing what her brother was telling her. She had stopped to look at a cute little lamb that had beautiful dark eyes. When she turned to ask her brother if she could pet the lamb, he wasn't there. Ruthie was so afraid. The crowd had swallowed up her family. They were nowhere to be seen. Ruthie felt small next to all the people shuffling by her. She yelled, Asher! Mommy! Abba! Ima! Abba was Daddy, and Ima was Mommy. But the more she shouted, the more she knew her family could not hear her. She stood very still and tried not to cry. She tried to remember what her Ima said to do if something like this happened. She decided to bow her little head right there in the middle of the chaos and pray. Her Ima always told her that God would be able to hear her prayers, even if she just said them in her heart. Now she was counting on God to hear her above all the hustle and bustle of the temple. She closed her eyes tight and whispered, God, I know you can see me and I know you can hear me. Please help me because I am lost and afraid. I want my Abba and Ima and even Asher, though he irritates me sometimes. I promise to pay attention and listen better, but please, just help me find my family. Amen. When Ruthie opened her eyes and looked up, she saw an old woman bending over her. She had a crinkly face full of wrinkles. All her hair, which was white with strands of gray, was pulled back into a bun and partially covered with a shawl. The old woman leaned down and saw the big tears rolling down Ruthie's face. She wiped them with her big sleeve and said, Little girl, what is wrong? The old woman took Ruthie's hand while Ruthie explained what happened. The old woman said her name was Anna, and she worked at the temple. Anna asked Ruthie about the names of her family and exclaimed when Ruthie told her that her brother's name was Asher. Why, that is the name of the tribe I come from, Anna said. Ruthie knew not to go with strangers, but somehow she knew God sent Anna to help her. Ruthie walked very close to Anna. She wasn't about to get lost again. Anna said she was on her way to a funeral when she found Ruthie. Her good friend Simeon had died, and Anna wanted to be there for his friends and family. Anna took Ruthie to the side of the temple where animals were prepared for sacrifice. They looked everywhere for Ruthie's family, but could not find them. Anna said they were probably looking for Ruthie like they were looking for them. Anna asked Ruthie if she would mind if they went to the funeral before looking some more. Anna made sure that all the people she worked with at the temple knew she had Ruthie with her, just in case Abba and Ima asked about a lost little girl. After a short walk, Anna and Ruthie arrived at the place where the funeral service was being held. Many people had come, and it was very loud. Ruthie had never been to a funeral like this before. She was amazed at how many mourners there were. No wonder there was so much noise. The wailers were making such a racket that Ruthie was sure the man who died would wake up from all the racket they were making. Anna was the only one who didn't look sad. As a matter of fact, Anna looked positively happy. Ruthie wasn't sure why, so she just hung on to Anna's wrinkly hand and practiced what she had promised God. Ruthie paid lots of attention to what was going on, and she listened to everything being said. All right, we're going to stop the story for right now. You're going to have to tune in to part 2 in order to get the rest of the story. All right, I hope you're enjoying it so far. All right, see you soon. Bye.